Ethan Cross had sworn off dating years ago. His world revolved around his 7-year-old daughter Mia, whose laughter was the only thing that kept his small world from collapsing. He was a single dad, barely holding things together, working 2 jobs, one as a mechanic at a small auto shop and another delivering groceries at night. Love, romance, candlelit dinners. All those had become luxuries for people who didn't have to choose between rent and groceries. But that Sunday morning, as sunlight spilled through his worn apartment blinds, something unexpected was about to happen, something that would change his life forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love finding you when you least expect it, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal, because stories like this remind us that even the most ordinary days can hold extraordinary miracles. It started when Ethan's best friend, Marcus, showed up at the auto shop, grinning like a man with a secret. Marcus was loud, confident, and endlessly persuasive, everything Ethan wasn't. "Bro, listen," Marcus said, leaning over the counter. "I set up this blind date on a dating app with a woman named Evelyn, right? But my ex decided she wants to talk things through, and I can't mess that up. You gotta go in my place. Just have dinner, make it quick, and tell her I'm sorry, okay?" Ethan had laughed, shaking his head, but Marcus wouldn't let go. "She's classy, kind, and hates liars. Don't mention my name, just go. Who knows, you might even smile for once." Ethan didn't want to. He had grease on his hands, worry in his heart, and bills in his pocket. But somehow, maybe out of exhaustion or curiosity, he said yes. The restaurant that evening was something out of a dream. Soft lights, crystal glasses, live piano music echoing through golden walls. Ethan stood awkwardly at the entrance, adjusting the only clean shirt he owned. He felt like an imposter among people who probably never worried about broken radiators or late utility bills. He scanned the room, searching for a face he didn't know. And then he saw her. She sat near the window, framed by the afternoon glow, the kind of woman who didn't just walk into a room, she changed it. Her name, as he soon learned, was Evelyn Hart. She was in her early 30s, elegant yet unpretentious, her dark hair flowing softly over a cream blazer. Her eyes were calm, intelligent, and strangely lonely. She looked up, their eyes met, and for a moment Ethan forgot why he was even there. He walked over, nervous but polite, and introduced himself simply as Ethan. She smiled, a small, genuine smile that felt like sunlight. The dinner began awkwardly. Ethan stumbled over his words, trying to sound half as confident as Marcus. But Evelyn listened, really listened. She asked about his daughter, his work, and his dreams. When Ethan mentioned he worked as a mechanic, he braced for judgment, but it never came. Instead, she said softly, "That's admirable. My father was a carpenter. He used to say that honest hands make the world stronger." Her words disarmed him completely. As the conversation flowed, Ethan forgot to pretend. He talked about Mia. The way she painted clouds as pink hearts, her habit of saving half her lunch for him when he worked late. Evelyn's eyes softened, and she admitted she'd always wanted to adopt but never found the time or courage. When dessert arrived, Ethan realized he hadn't thought once about Marcus or his lie. He had simply been himself. As they left the restaurant, Evelyn received a phone call. Her expression shifted, becoming serious, then distant. She apologized, saying she had to leave suddenly. A black luxury car pulled up, and before Ethan could even ask if she was okay, she was gone, leaving behind only her scarf on the table. He stood there in the fading daylight, holding the silk scarf like it was something sacred. He didn't know who she truly was, but he couldn't stop thinking about her. Days passed and life returned to its routine rhythm. Ethan fixed cars by day, cooked pasta by night, and read bedtime stories to Mia. But his thoughts often drifted back to Evelyn's smile. Then one afternoon, a silver car stopped outside his small auto shop. To his astonishment, Evelyn stepped out. She looked different this time, commanding, confident, dressed in a charcoal suit. The employees froze. She walked straight to Ethan, holding a car key. "My driver mentioned a strange sound coming from the engine," she said calmly. "And I wanted to see if I could get it checked here." Ethan blinked, realizing what was happening. She wasn't just anyone. She was Evelyn Hart, the CEO of Hart Tech Motors, the very company that supplied their auto parts. He fumbled for words, but Evelyn smiled knowingly. "Relax, Ethan. I didn't come here to embarrass you. I came because I wanted to see you again." The room seemed to stop. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she laughed lightly, easing the tension. "You're not quite what I expected that night. but maybe that's exactly why I wanted to come. As weeks turned into months, their paths began to cross more often. Evelyn started visiting the shop under the pretense of quality checks, sometimes bringing Mia small gifts. A pink notebook, a keychain, a box of her favorite cookies. The little girl adored her, and in Evelyn's presence, Ethan felt something he hadn't in years: peace. Yet beneath the growing connection, fear lingered. Ethan couldn't forget that their relationship had started on a lie. She still thought he had been the man she was supposed to meet that night. One evening, as the sun melted into the city skyline, Evelyn invited Ethan and Maya to a charity event at her company headquarters. It was grand and elegant: crystal chandeliers, red carpets, journalists, flashing cameras. Ethan felt wildly out of place, holding Mia's hand tightly as they entered. But when Evelyn saw them, she walked straight over, ignoring the cameras, and greeted them warmly. "You both look perfect," she whispered. The night was beautiful until Marcus showed up. He hadn't seen Ethan in weeks and, spotting him beside Evelyn, blurted out, "Man, so this is the woman I set you up with, huh? Guess that blind date turned out better than expected." The words hit like a thunderclap. Evelyn froze, her expression hardening. "You what?" she asked quietly. Ethan's face drained of color. The truth spilled out in fragments. How he'd gone in Marcus's place, how he hadn't meant to deceive her, how everything real had come after. The silence that followed was unbearable. Evelyn turned away, her voice barely a whisper. "You should have told me, Ethan." Then she left. Days passed with no calls, no visits. Ethan tried to reach her, but her assistant always said she was unavailable. He could barely sleep, haunted by the look in her eyes when she'd realized the truth. He didn't blame her. He'd hurt her trust. Still, he couldn't stop hoping for a second chance. Then one morning, as autumn sunlight streamed through the workshop windows, a black car pulled up again. Evelyn stepped out, dressed casually this time. No bodyguards, no boardroom aura, just her. She walked up to Ethan holding a small box. "I came to return something," she said softly. Inside was the old scarf he'd kept. "You left this with me that night. And I realized something. I can be angry, yes. But I also can't pretend that night didn't change me." She looked at him with tears glistening in her eyes. "You didn't lie to get something from me. You lied to protect someone else. That doesn't excuse it, but it tells me who you really are. A man who puts others first. I don't meet many like that." Ethan's voice trembled. "Evelyn, I never expected anything. I just didn't want that night to end." She smiled faintly. "Then maybe it doesn't have to." Ethan couldn't believe it. She stepped closer, whispering, "Dinner tonight? No lies, no pretense, just us." And for the first time in years, Ethan felt his heart breathe again. That evening, he took Mia to his sister's house, put on his cleanest shirt, and met Evelyn under the city lights. They talked, laughed, and finally allowed themselves to be honest. Evelyn confessed how lonely her world had become despite her success. Ethan admitted his fears of never being enough. But somehow, sitting across from each other, they both felt that the missing pieces had finally found their place. Months later, they stood together at a children's charity fair organized by Heart Tech. Mia was painting butterflies on kids' faces while Evelyn and Ethan handed out balloons. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was better. It was real. Two people from different worlds, bound by the quiet power of honesty, forgiveness, and love. Sometimes, fate doesn't ask for perfection. It just waits for hearts brave enough to try again. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Kinless Journal, where stories of compassion and hope remind us that love can begin even in the most unexpected ways. And before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe love can find you when you least expect it? Because maybe, just like Ethan and Evelyn, your story is waiting for its moment too.